Concentrations are high at the beginning of the reaction, and so the reaction is first shown by a rapid fall in the reactant concentration. Initially, the reaction will go fast, right, when it starts. After that, with the formation of the product and going to reach the equilibrium, it becomes slow. Okay? All right. Now we see that green chemistry and catalysis. We often hear the term green chemistry. The technology is called green if it uses raw materials efficiently. That means we should be uh, concerned about our environmental pollution, right? So the raw materials we use in even the solvents, all this should be minimized, so such that the use of toxic and hazardous reagents as well as the solvents can be avoided, while formation of waste or undesirable byproducts are minimized. So this is green technology, right? So the catalytic routes often satisfy this criteria. If we use a, a catalyst, you can minimize the formation of undesirable waste, byproducts, or the wastes. We will see that example. A good example is provided by the selective oxidation of ethylene to ethylene epoxide, an important intermediate towards ethylene glycol, which is used as an antifreeze, and various polyethers and polyurethanes. For the production of polyurethanes, polyethers, we use the chemicals, right? That is your ethylene epoxide, and it comes from ethylene, right? So ethylene will be converted to ethylene epoxide by the conventional way. If we produce this ethylene epoxide, which is an important intermediate in the chemical industry, we find that by a normal process without using any catalyst, we come across with uh, some salts, that is using the old technique, non-catalytic route called epichlorohydrin, uh, that is followed by 3 steps. It produces salts. Suppose calcium chloride. We need this one, right? Why do you need this? So this calcium chloride, this salt is an undesirable one. So, or in total, it can be like this. So chlorine and sodium hydroxide, HOCl plus sodium chloride. So again, this one will react with C2H4 to produce this epichlorohydrin. Now this epichlorohydrin will react with calcium hydroxide to form calcium chloride and this C2H4O and water, or in total like this. Okay. So we have undesirable sodium chloride, calcium chloride coming from this. So hence every molecule of ethylene oxide, 1 mole of salt is formed, creating a waste problem because salt is not our desired product. So this was traditionally solved by dumping it in a river. Such practice is, of course, totally unacceptable. So if we use a catalyst, we can avoid this one. So that the catalytic route, however, is simple and clean, although it does produce a small amount of carbon dioxide. Yes, true, carbon dioxide is a pollutant. As I told you before, if you plant trees, right? If we have a lot of trees, it can be consumed. This carbon dioxide can be consumed. It's, of course, contributing the global warming, true, but we can minimize the other things. We can save the other wastes, from coming to the environment, right? So using silver promoted by small amounts of chlorine as the catalyst, ethylene oxide is formed directly from C2H4 and oxygen at a selectivity of around 90%, with about 10% of ethylene ending up as CO2. So this catalyst is in fact solving this problem. So we can say that this is green chemistry, green catalyst, right? The silver promoted by small amount of chlorine, added with a small amount of chlorine. So nowadays all production facilities for ethylene oxide use the catalyst. The previous that means the old system has been changed with this catalyst. Again, there will be research to get this new type of catalyst to get 100% conversion and no carbon dioxide, right? Because we have still problem of getting 10% of carbon dioxide. Now research will be continuing to minimize this one, that is no carbon dioxide, if we can come up with this. So catalyst will be developed, right? Time will come when you will see that, right? Okay, so numerous organic syntheses are based on stoichiometric oxidation of hydrocarbons with sodium dichromate and potassium permanganate, or on hydrogenations with alkali metals, borohydride or metallic zinc. So these are the organic syntheses carried out by this, uh, you know, for this reaction, that is your oxidation of hydrocarbons, right, with this sodium dichromate, potassium permanganate, or on hydrogenations with alkali metals. So in addition, there are reactions such as aromatic nitrations with sulfuric acid and nitric acid, or acylations with aluminum chloride, that generate significant amounts of inorganic salts as byproduct. So here is the problem of getting a lot of byproducts, inorganic salts, although it's byproducts, which means we can use this salt in any other way. However, if we can increase our main product, it's better. Byproduct is our secondary choice. It's coming along with this main product too, and also it has got some applications. That's why it's valuable, of course, but we are more interested to get the main product instead of getting more byproducts, right? Byproduct, the sideline products, it's coming side by side, right? All right, so fine chemicals are predominantly the domain of homogeneous catalysis, where solvents present another issue of environmental concern. Hmm? As before, I talked to you with this about these fine chemicals. I told you that these fine chemicals are not very fine in quality. That is very smooth, fine. Not that its use is less, consumption is less. When the consumption is more, bulk amount of products are produced. It is bulk chemicals. A lot of things we are producing. But is it that we produce a lot of things all the time? Not that we. There are some things, some chemicals. Sometimes we need it. Eh? Suppose chlorine. Chlorine, do we need a lot? Or sulfuric acid, sodium hydroxide, we need a lot. Sodium hydroxide, we need a lot. Hydrochloric acid, we need a lot, right? But this chlorine is not is being used as a large product, that means widely used. Is not that. That's why the production is less. That's why we call it as fine chemicals. So anyway, according to Sheldon, one scientist, the best solvent is no solvent. That means if we do not use any solvent, that's good. Uh, But if a solvent is unavoidable, that means if we have to use a solvent, then water is a good choice. So universal solvent. But again, water cannot be used all the time. We need, suppose, organic things to proceed. So we need organic solvents. Methanol, ethanol, propanol, means many other organic compounds as that solvent. So Sheldon has introduced several indicators to measure the efficiency and environmental impact of the reaction. So here is one good thing, that is atom efficiency is that molecular weight of the desired product divided by the total molecular weight of all products. Now, if you have, for example, the conventional oxidation of secondary alcohol, then you see that this okay the for example, the conventional oxidation of secondary alcohol, if you see that, what we find, that chromium sulfate is coming. Huh? So this is that conventional way of producing secondary alcohol. So our formula is that, what is that formula? Is that atom efficiency of the desired products is C6H5COCH3. 3 times of this is coming. That means 120 C6H5COCH3. That molecular weight, that is coming 120 times 3, 360, divided by 860, that is undesirable products. That means the molecular weight of the desired product divided by the total molecular weight of all products. Sorry, the total molecular of all products. That means this one, this one, this one together. Now, if you can minimize this one, your production will be 100% of this production. That means your conversion is, your product is giving the atom efficiency of 100%. If you have 0% this, 0% of this. Can follow? But if it is 42%, that atom efficiency, this indicates that our products contain some undesirable or any products, maybe byproducts, but that is not the main product. So by contrast, the catalytic route can solve this problem. If you use this catalyst of conversion of the secondary alcohol, it offers an efficiency of 87%, because this is 120 plus divided by 120 plus H2O, that is 8, your hydrogen 2, oxygen 16, 18, right? So 138, 120 plus 18, right? So 138. So 138 is the total weight, and before that we have the desired product is C6H5COCH3, that is 120, right, molecular weight. So it's that 87%, and you see that it's 42%, whereby it's increased to 87% by following the catalytic route. So we use a catalyst here. Now, so what type of catalyst? Yes, it can be found out. I think, is there a name of the catalyst? Take that. Okay. So the reverse step, a catalytic hydrogenation proceeds with 100% atom efficiency. If you see this one, this type of reaction is 100% atom efficiency, and does the catalytic carbonylation of this molecule. Now, what type of catalyst is used is not mentioned here. However, suppose any catalyst is, the purpose is that if we use any catalyst, you can convert this 100% atom efficiency of this product, and follow. That means undesirable products can be minimized by using the catalytic route. This is the only thing. Okay? All right. With this, I thank you. Uh,